It is time for Football at 4, and I'm just going to be up front about it. Some of y'all need to be woken up real quick because you're dreaming. The Panthers are living large on their bye, but do not get it twisted. This is not a good football team. And I think it's important to say that just to protect yourself against a little bit of a letdown. Because everywhere I turn, and I'm sure many of you are in the same online communities as I am, right? You follow the same people, right? The NFL reporters, we're all in this together. Everywhere I turn, there's some other little, it's like a cool thing right now to point out that the Panthers aren't as bad as you think. Right, just as cool as it is to point out that the Cowboys stink, it's cool to point out, like, hey, that team, everybody counted out. The Panthers got something going. A.Q. Shipley, former NFL center, was on with Pat McAfee, and he ranked the Panthers as the best offensive line in the entire league for Week 10. He said they played the best offensive line in Week 10. When is the last time you remember the Panthers being number one in a positive light for anything?
Probably their Super Bowl season back in 2016. If I had to guess.
I don't know how far back I was expecting to go, but that's a while. NFL on Fox raised the Panthers from, they've been at the bottom, near the bottom the entire season, all the way up to 23rd in the league in their power rankings. 23rd out of 32. That's lower middle class. The 33rd team, I saw they're touting the rookie pass catchers because right now in the NFL, in the top 10 rookies in receiving yards, the Panthers have 3 of them. 3 guys in the top 10. Now they're number 8, 9, and 10, but 3 guys in the top 10 as far as rookie receiving yards. All this is good. It is good to celebrate, but please do not fall for it again and make me have to come around and be the Grim Reaper. Beginning of the year, coming into the season, this team has improved a ton. The offensive line is better. They spent $153 million in contracts on 2 guards. Deontay Johnson, the trade. Dave Canales, the play caller. Everything's in line. Dan Morgan is running the show. This year is going to be great. Then the wheels fell off. And quick, too.
The alignment. The dogs. What happened?
The alignment. The dogs. The wheels fell off quick. 2 games in. Quarterback benched. Oh, no, it's all bad, da-da-da-da.
A combined total of 9 points through the first 2 weeks.
It was the most points allowed through 2 games in franchise history and the fewest points scored through 2 games in franchise history. Wheels fell off quick. Then Andy Dalton took over, and we fell for it again. All this team needed was a veteran quarterback. Bryce Young was holding him back. He doesn't have the arm strength. He can't do this. He can't do that. Dave Canales and him never vibed. Look at what Andy Dalton can do. Then the wheels fell off. Then Deontay Johnson got hurt, and Adam Thielen was already hurt. And suddenly Andy Dalton was throwing pick sixes, and Andy Dalton wasn't looking like the savior anymore. And oh no, what's going on here? And oh no, the wheels are falling. And the wheels fell off. Fast forward to now. 2 wins in a row. Bryce Young's swag is back. The running game is dominant. Chuba Hubbard just got paid. Dave Canales is figuring it out. The culture. They got rid of Deontay Johnson. They got rid of Jonathan Mingo. Addition by subtraction. How long until the wheels fall off?
Bryce Young leads them to a game-winning drive.
Game-winning drive, and then the defense sets them up for an overtime win. How long until the wheels fall off? Don't set yourself up for a letdown again. I'm going back to one of the things I said preseason because we were doing like the over-unders on win totals. I set the over-under at 5, and I said, I think there's a good chance they get 5 wins. 6, celebrate. And I did that intentionally, and I had this same speech to say, if you let your imagination run away with you and you start talking about 9, 10 wins, you start talking about why couldn't we compete for the division, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment and sadness because your expectations are too high. You won 2 games last year. This is not an exaggeration. This is, I don't even believe, a debatable fact. You were the worst team in the NFL last season. You got the number 1 overall pick, and you didn't even benefit from it. So you weren't even hinting at a tank, right? Why would you tank for someone else's pick? You were, against your will, the worst team in the NFL last season. Coming into this year, I said, if you get to six wins and you triple your win total from last year, be ecstatic. If you get to 5, that's a good season. Heck, even 4 doubles your win total. 4 wins on the season is a good result from here. You play the Kansas City Chiefs this week. The Kansas City Chiefs. And you might say their offense isn't they're undefeated. And you know why? It's not because they're bad. It's because their defense is otherworldly. I don't believe they've given up 28 or 30 points in 28 straight games. They have this guy named Patrick Mahomes. If the defense keeps you bottled up, he'll find a way. That's after a bye. So enjoy the bye, celebrate the little victories, but be realistic coming out on the other side. Tampa Bay is not a world beater. They will be favored, and probably heavily, over the Carolina Panthers. You play them twice. I think you might get them once. I think you might win one and lose one against Tampa. I think you might have a chance against Dallas, especially if they're playing Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, which chances are they'll be playing one of them. Dak Prescott's not playing. Other than that, it's uphill. Kansas, good. Philly might not be as good as they were when they went to the Super Bowl. They're a good top-to-bottom roster. Arizona's playing well. Atlanta has a juggernaut of an offense. This is a cold glass of water to the face, which is the reason why Victory Monday, the past 2 Mondays, has been so fun, is because it's also been unexpected. Right? When the underdog wins, it should feel good. It becomes an issue when an underdog starts thinking they're the Goliath. The Panthers are surprising. Everybody likes actually, you know what? That's probably the best test. The fact that so many in the national media, so many analysts and the Pat McAfee show find joy in saying the Panthers aren't that bad, it's because they're bad. Nobody ever has a good time complimenting the juggernaut, right? Nobody ever has fun complimenting a dynasty. No one's ever like, you know who was actually pretty good this year? Everybody get ready to cheer. But you know who was pretty good this past week? The Kansas City Chiefs, 2-time defending Super Bowl champions, led by one of the greatest quarterbacks and greatest coaches of all time. Huh? No, but you know who actually is pretty good? Some group of 5 team that's Boise State. Everybody loves rooting for Boise State in football now. Ashton Genty, he stands up straight. He's a good running back. Ha, ha, ha. They play on a blue field. Ha, ha, ha. If you're not a fan of Oregon or Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama, if you're not a fan of those, you don't have any fun complimenting them. You might say it. You might say, like, no, actually, Oregon's really good this year. Dan Lanning's a good coach, on and on and on. But you're not giddy over – you're not excited. Right now, the Panthers are Boise State. No, they're cool. They're good. They're actually they're not that bad. They're not a normal bad team. But if you put Boise State in the same arena, in the same stadium as Oregon, nobody is picking them.
I'd say they're ECU. A couple of blowout losses. Although Dave Canales hasn't gotten fired, but I mean there was like questions about his coaching tenure with everything that David Tepper has done in the past with Frank Reich last season. Then all of a sudden they put together some wins. Just to wrap up this season in a nutshell, I have a good buddy of mine, diehard Carolina Panthers fan. He sent me a text message after the overtime win against the Giants in Germany. He said, 3 wins has never felt so good.
Agreed. And 3 wins, like a 3-7 team, feeling like they're 7-3.
Oh, jinx.
It shows what type of team it is. Like, I'm just going to bring up the NFL standings. This is going to be fun. You're going to hear me type for about 15 seconds. I'm just going to bring up the NFL standings, and here's how it's going to work. This is almost too perfect. Ready? The Panthers are 3-7. Feels like 7-3. You know who else has 3 wins? The Dallas Cowboys. You know who else has 3 wins? The Miami Dolphins. You know who else has 3 wins? The New York Jets. Guess what? Their rosters have a lot more talent than the Panthers. There's some glaring holes as well, don't get me wrong. But they have established players, big contract players, really good players who aren't injured. Because like Derrick Brown, obviously, is that also, but he's injured. They don't look at 3 wins and celebrate. It's because they're a talented roster. The Panthers look at 3 wins and celebrate because they're not as talented of a roster. Wear that rose-colored glass as you watch the rest of the season. If they're close against the Chiefs, fire up a band. If they win 1 of 2 against Tampa, that's great. If they walk out of this season with 5 wins, I'm very excited. That means they won 2 of their last however many they have, 7, 8. Very excited for that. If they win 1 more, I'm comfortable. 4 wins, doubling your win total year over year, and having a high draft pick, that's good. I would love it even more if they're ahead by 14 in every fourth quarter and lose them all, because then you get the draft pick and you prove that you're good enough to hang with these teams. But that's a whole other can of worms that we don't have time to open right now.